Thanks for listening to Entreneato, the show where we help you live the Neato life. By listening to Entreneato, you'll learn how to develop multiple streams of income. You'll hear amazing stories and takeaways from professionals in their field. And you'll learn more about yourself and how you're wired. The average person spends 90,000 hours at work in their lifetime. Student loan debt is at an all-time high, and 41% of all divorce is based on finances. If you feel like you're surviving, but you wouldn't exactly say you're thriving, then you've come to the right place. Whatever stage of life you're in, Entreneato is here to help you be a better entrepreneur. Break out of that rat race and start living your Neato life today. And now introducing your Neato host, Matt Neff.
Welcome back to Entreneato. On today's show, we have America's #1 success coach, Dr. Dave Martin. Thank you so much for listening today. It's going to be a great episode. On the show today, we have Dr. Dave, who is probably the king of one-liners. You're going to want to take good notes today because he is profound and is a great speaker with a lot of great content for you today. Also, he probably told me my favorite joke of 2019. You guess which joke you think it is. Leave a message in the comments. Here's a little bit more on Dr. Dave. Dr. Dave is a mentor, inspirational speaker, and business leader with a mission to communicate the principles of success. Dave is known around the world for his ability to resonate with his audience, providing insights and wisdom that are life-changing. Dave shares timeless truths wrapped in humor and delivered with passion, teaching people how to pursue and possess a life of success. Thank you again for listening to Entreneato, and if you get a chance, check out entreneato.com for archived interviews, exclusive blog posts from our guests, merchandise, and make sure to get your free book. And if you'd like to go above and beyond, consider supporting the show through our Patreon page. We're currently running the $1 challenge. If you would consider supporting the show, $1 a month would be unbelievable. Or a free option is to leave us a written 5-star review on iTunes. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the show. Now on to today's interview. Welcome back to Entreneato. My guest today is the Dr. Dave Martin. Dr. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, man. I'm glad to be here with you.
I'm super pumped to have you on today. You know, before we go too far, I would love for you just to share away websites, social media, books, anything you want to promote. We'd love to learn more about it.
Oh, great. Well, they can go to davemartin.org, and that's our website. It's got all kind of information there, plus resources, a lot of different books. One of them we'll be talking about today, The 12 Traits of the Greats, and then all of our social media at Dr. Dave Martin. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find all kind of stuff on there. A lot of good motivation and a little bit of fun in there. I like to drop a joke every now and then.
Yes.
and then our podcast is Success Made Simple. So all those are just different ways to connect and be a part of our world as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm excited. In Entreneato, the logo, things like that, we don't take ourselves too seriously. I just didn't want just a basic, boring business podcast where it's just predictable and we're using all these cliche words like synergy and, all these different things like unpacking thoughts. I'm like, let's just have fun. Let's talk about business. Yeah. Let's figure out how to live our best life. And so every guest that we've had on has been great. We recently had on Mike McCallowitz from Profit First, and he was great. Like, he's just a great balance of like humor, doesn't take himself too seriously, but then he's excellent in his content. So it was a blast getting to talk to him. So if you get a chance, listeners, you have to follow Dr. Dave on his Instagram page because it is hilarious. I followed you for years, and I know a lot of people that know you, and we have mutual friends, things like that. And I would just love to kind of know your backstory, however much you would love to share. How did you become Dr. Dave Martin? Where did that start? And anything you'd love to share, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, well, I grew up. My dad's actually a minister. People said, "How'd you get started speaking?" And that's kind of how I got started with that. My dad's a minister, and so grandfather was as well. But I grew up in a small town in Mississippi, and my dad always pastored small churches, wasn't around big crowds or a lot of people. But there was always something in me that desired more, that wanted more. And in that little small town, I always say this, I left Mississippi long before Mississippi left me. So I grew up in this small town, but even though I left, I still dealt with a mindset, really. And that's what I'm going to talk about some today as well, is because so many of us limit ourselves by our own thinking. And I can think over and over how often I limited myself by the way I thought or what I thought was possible. And so in that little small town, we grew up poor. We thought you're supposed to be poor. They told us poor people go to heaven. So
Wow.
we did everything we could to stay broke. You know, I used to tell people, my dad told us if the ice cream truck was playing music, that meant they were out, you know.
Once again, darn it.
You know. So that's kind of how we grew up. But then I don't know. I think it was really through sports I began to really look at personal development, personal growth, and it began to look at some things different, change some of my thinking. I remember hearing the story of Roger Bannister, the first human being to run a mile in under 4 minutes, and how no one thought it was possible to run a mile that fast until 1954, when a guy by the name of Roger Bannister did it. The next year, 1955, 30 people did it. The next year, 100 people did it. Today, you can go to a high school track meet and see people do it.
Yeah.
But you go back to what was it that changed in 1954? Was it the way we run? Was it our muscles? No, it was our mindset. It wasn't a time barrier that was broken. It was a mind barrier.
Wow.
That was broken. And I really began to see that if I could change my thinking, I could change my life. And so I began to look at my mindset and begin to study great achievers, whether it was great on the baseball field or the battlefield or the business field or whatever field of life. What was it that made them great? What were those keys? And really began to understand the difference between where I was and where I wanted to be was what I knew. And that's when my journey for personal growth and personal development began. And just through studying different people, I remember Sir Edmund Hillary, the first man to ever climb to the top of Mount Everest. I remember hearing that story and thinking, well, he just got up one day and he climbed up there to the top of Mount Everest. And as I began to study it and look at it more, I found out he didn't make it the first time. He didn't make it the second time. He tried several times before he made it to the top. But I love what he said. He looked at Mount Everest and he said to the mountain, he spoke to his mountain. I love that. Mm-hmm. He spoke to his mountain. He said, I will come again and conquer you, because as a mountain, you can't grow, but as a human, I can.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, man, whatever you're facing, you have the ability to outgrow that. Yeah. As a human, the way God created us to learn, to grow, to develop. And that really just began to spark a journey of more wisdom, more understanding. And it didn't happen overnight. I got married, lived in a little government assisted apartment, Section 8 housing. We didn't have a bed, had an air mattress, didn't have a dining room table and chairs, but something in there was craving more. Something in there knew that there was something beyond where I was. And so I kept studying, kept getting information, sometimes just one piece of information can stop a world of pain. And so getting the right keys, the right information in my life, the right people around me, and things began to change. So, I always ask people, would you like to be doing better than you're doing right now? And most everybody says, yeah, of course I would. I said, okay, so what don't you know? Because that's the difference between where you are and where you want to be. Wow. Is what you know. And so growing up, like I said, in Mississippi, where education, if you look at the 50 states and see where education is, you'll see Mississippi usually down there around number 49, 48. It's not the top thinking state in America. I should have said, when you look at the 48 states, no, I'm from Mississippi. I didn't realize there was 50, but
bless your heart.
Education. Yeah. That's a good Southern statement for you're an idiot. Bless your heart. But, we there just wasn't a lot of value put on education. Yeah. Yeah. But as I began to understand the value of wisdom, and even from the Bible, that was always Proverbs was my favorite book of the Bible. And, and seeing all the valuable wisdom that could make a difference. So that's kind of my journey from where I was to where I am today. Made some mistakes along the way, have made money, lost money, made money. And I don't want to lose it again. So I'm trying to learn as much as I can so that I don't have to go backwards ever again.
So, like, I love your story. There's so much in there that you already shared already. To our listeners, if you haven't followed Dr. Dave yet, get his content, get his books, subscribe to his podcast. So much good stuff you said, and I was writing things down as you were speaking. But was it like a pivotal moment that you kind of had this awakening of like, I can do better, I can have more? Or was it like a consistent thing where it was just like letdown after letdown? The comedian David Spade talks about he grew up poor as well. And he said when he grew up, he didn't realize he was poor, but all the other kids knew he was poor. And they would say like, you got a rock collection, like rocks are free, was one of the things. And then he remembered his mom saying like, you should wear that again tomorrow. You look good in that, And so all these cryptic things that he didn't realize, like, I think I'm poor. And it didn't dawn on him until later, So did you have like a pivotal moment or just a couple smaller things that kind of move that along to this awakening of your mindset?
Yeah. I didn't really have a pivotal moment. Again, I didn't know that my parents did a great job of not letting us know how poor we were, but there was always a drive, something in me. And I didn't want to be, there's probably moments when I can think like I wanted something that they couldn't buy me, a pair of shoes or to go to a certain thing at school or whatever it may have been. And I just said, you know what? I never want to not be able to do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I don't ever want my son to not be able to try something, and you got to keep a balance in that. But I think that drive for never wanting to be poor, never wanting to be without has been a driving force in me. But then through that too, just a real heart to give and help others. And so the more I've got, the more I can help. I've had family members say, I don't know, if you become a millionaire, you might get greedy. I'm like, if you be greedy when you become a millionaire, it's probably because you're greedy now.
Right.
More just makes you more of what you are. So if you're generous, the more you have, the more generous you can be. So I never worry about becoming greedy. I like giving too much, and giving is the cure for greed. So I think there was not really one moment, just overall of looking at my life. I said, there's gotta be more than where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. Well, I'd love to change gears and talk about your book more, 12 Traits of the Greats, and just kind of the backstory of that and how that came to be, and any takeaways you'd love to share with us. We'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. I spent thousands of hours studying great achievers. I love biographies. I love learning. I tell you about Sir Edmund Hillary or whoever it may have been. I love to look at people's life, like Kobe Bryant, the basketball player, mm-hmm. 2014 sets the record for the most missed shots in the history of the NBA.
Wow.
The most missed shots. Now, amazingly, 7 days after he set the record for the most missed shots, he passed up a guy by the name of Michael Jordan.
Wow.
For the most points scored. And they said, how'd you do it? He said, I just took another shot. And he said, you can't let the fear of failure or the fear of criticism keep you from trying again. And as I just began to study these great achievers, I found, well, these are real simple principles that I could learn and put to practice in my life. Growth is not automatic. It's your responsibility. So it's your choice, and I made that the first chapter of the 12 traits, because I noticed that every great achiever took responsibility for where they were at. If you want tomorrow to be different than today, you got to learn something today that's going to make tomorrow different. If you go into tomorrow with the same information you have today, you won't have it tomorrow. You'll just have a longer today.
Yeah,
so
right.
if this year is going to be different for you than last year, you have to do some things different this year. If I'm going to lose 25 pounds this year, I can't eat what I ate last year. I'm going to gain 30 instead of losing 20.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put responsibility as the first trait of great achievers, because I've noticed that they all quit blaming everyone else. It's the government's fault. It's my parents' fault. It's whoever, my spouse's fault. But if you don't make personal growth your responsibility, it's never going to happen. The road to anything worthwhile is always going to be uphill. So the sooner you get started, the sooner you'll get to reaching that God-given potential that you have. I always say the reason that first grade desks are so small is because you're not supposed to be sitting in them when you're 23.
Yeah.
You're supposed to grow.
Natural uncomfortableness. Yeah. That brings it, forces you out. Yeah. That's good.
So we all know those people that always have excuses.
Right.
always someone else's fault. It reminds me of this guy gets pulled over by the police, and the police said, "Man, your car is swerving a little bit there. I'm going to need you to take a breathalyzer test." The guy said, "Oh man, officer, I can't take those." He said, "What do you mean you can't take those?" He said, "I've got asthma, bad asthma. If I breathe in a breathalyzer, I may have an asthma attack. If I have an asthma attack, I could die. If I died, it'd be your fault." Officer said, "Oh my goodness, that's horrible. I don't want to be responsible for that. How about this? How about we'll put you in the car, go down to the station, get a blood sample from you." He said, "Oh man," he said, "Officer, I would, but I can't do those." He said, "What? Well, you have excuses for everything. What do you mean you can't do those?" He said, yeah." Well, he said, "If you stick me, I'll start bleeding. I can't quit bleeding. I bleed to death. I would die at the station. It'd be all your fault." Officer said, "Okay, how about this? Just step out of the car and walk down this white line right here." The guy said, "Oh, officer, I can't do that either." He said, "Well," officer said, "Why can't you do that?" He said, "Because I'm drunk." Yeah.
He finally owns up to it.
Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of excuses. I can't do this, I can't do that. But
Sure.
But I think responsibility. It's your responsibility to learn and grow. You come to my house. I've got 4,000 books. I can't get enough books. There's too much stuff I don't know. I love what Henry Ford said. He said, "It's been my observation that successful people get ahead during the time that other people waste."
Wow.
And so while other people are wasting time, I want to learn. I want to grow. John Wooden, the basketball coach, said, "What counts most is what you learn after you know it all."
Oh man, that's so good.
Because a lot of times the more people learn, the less they think they have to learn, and then they become unteachable. And I really find, Matt, that very few people dedicate themselves to the process of personal growth. And one of the main reasons is because growth requires change. And most people are uncomfortable with change, but if you don't change, you're not going to grow. That's another chapter in the 12 traits is adaptability. I've noticed that great achievers are adaptable. They're willing to change. They're looking at the market. And if you don't, well, then you have a story like Kodak, who years ago had the opportunity to go digital. And they said, "Oh, that's not going to last." And they kept doing what they were doing, and it, devastated the company. So all of those are traits of great achievers. And so I just began to study this. I began to look at it and begin to find these traits like mindset. Life will not allow you to enjoy more success than you think you deserve. And I think so many people limit themselves, and we all could think of a time we limited ourselves by our own thinking. But if the way that you've thought, you probably heard this saying before, you need a checkup from the neck up.
Oh yeah.
And get rid of some of that stinking thinking.
Yes.
You probably heard that before.
Oh yeah.
Background you came from. But
yep.
If the way that you've thought and believed up until now was capable of producing what you desire, then you'd already have what you desire. So if you don't have what you desire, it could be wrong thinking or wrong believing that would be the cause of that. And so I've just continually had to work, and I still have to every day work on my thinking, work on my mindset, because I limit myself by the way I think sometimes.
Wow, that's amazing. Do you find like when you're day to day, is it like, do you have seasons of growth in a sense, or do you just try to do like a little bit every day, or are you reading like an hour a day, 4 hours a day? Like I see people, I think about like a farmer, like they're not doing a whole lot during the winter, but when it's time to harvest, they are out there and they're working from, dark to dark in a sense. What's your mindset? I'm sure it fluctuates, but what's your approach to all that?
I wish that I could say I do it every day and discipline like that. And I try, but life and travel and all that gets you
sure
going. And I could miss a couple of days, but I always keep, I've got books on my phone. I got books on my iPad. I've got actual books in my bag. So at any moment, anywhere, I can grab a book and start reading. And so I'm constantly looking for that, but I'm listening to, podcasts and those kind of things as well. So I'm always trying to learn something. I always say I try to learn something every day.
Mm-hmm.
If tomorrow's going to be different, what did I learn today? It's going to make tomorrow different. And so if I can learn something every day, sometimes it's not a big deal. I learned the other day, if your airbag deploys in your car, it costs $500 to put your airbag back.
Oh, that's fun.
Now, that's not real life changing, but I did learn that.
Yeah.
I was looking at a car and they were telling me that the passenger side, if no one's with you,
yeah,
and your airbag deploys, you still pay $500. So they were saying, here's one of the benefits of this car is you can turn the passenger side off. But then made me start thinking about the people who were with me, right? Because that's $500. I don't.
Right.
Maybe I should turn it off on them. I don't know if they're worth it.
I know. I'd be forgetting, like, wait, is it on or off? I wouldn't even want to mess with that. I'd be like, just leave it on or leave it off. Just put the key in and snap it off. Either way, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So just what can I learn today? So I don't have a set regimen.
Mm-hmm.
I do try to spend time in the morning with God. Sure. That I definitely want to put that in there. But then on reading and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I kind of do that whenever I can grab a moment.
Kind of this camp of these people that we've talked to, and we've had the show a little over 3 years now, and I've talked to a lot of great people that are in different stages of life, and myself and then other ones that I've talked to, they'll feel this pressure to read a book and get 150 nuggets of wisdom from it. And I was like that, where I'm like, man, I just need to slow down and I just need to really get this. And then some books aren't good. Like there's just some books where it's like, oh, it's a book, this person's an author, so it has to be great content. You're like, no, there's such things as bad books too. But if you get one nugget out of a book, that's great. Like I felt like I was like had this pressure to like, okay, I'm reading this book. It was 250 pages. I have to get a million things out of it, And I think a lot of times too with Instagram, social media, things like that, we're in such a comparison trap with people that they're like, well, it seems like they're out hustling me and hustling that. It's just like trying to find your own rhythm, I think, is really important to growth as well. To hustle and to spur yourself on with a friend or, a mastermind group or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like you got to stay and run at your own pace.
Right. And like you said, it may just be one thing, but
right.
How many keys does it take to start your car?
Yeah.
Just one.
Yep.
One little key can open up a big bank vault. A small hinge swings open a big door. So
yeah,
you don't have to get a bunch. You just got to get the right thing. And that gets you moving in the right direction. One piece of information, one idea. That was it. Ross Perot that said, billionaire Ross Perot said, all it takes is one good idea to live like a king the rest of your life.
Wow.
And so sometimes it's not a lot of things. It's just the right thing.
Sure.
And so I think that's so vital. That's another trait of great achievers is wisdom. They have a understand. They want to learn and grow. I went from being a know-it-all to being a learn-it-all. If you're not doing as well as you'd like to be doing, it just means there's something you don't know. So when I figured that out, that's when I said, I got to learn something every day, no matter how successful you become, because you don't want to get satisfied with your current accomplishments. The greatest enemy of tomorrow's success is today's success, thinking you've arrived. I see it in organizations. I see it in businesses and in churches, thinking you've arrived, thinking you've accomplished something because you've achieved a certain thing is fatal because it begins to take away your desire for continued growth. And you can't just sit. Wins, just like losses, are temporary. Team wins a Super Bowl. What do? They enjoy a couple weeks, go to Disney, but then they start practicing, start preparing, start getting ready because they're not going to be the champions next year unless they perform again. And so what Kevin Durant said, hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard.
That's so good. I think of that too with like anything we've accomplished in life and business or whatever, that we climb this mountain and we're going to take the mountain and then we get to the mountaintop. And I'm always curious because I think there's no right answer, this tension of like, how long do you enjoy the view on top of the mountain, and then take another mountain? Like, what is that like? I know people that have died on the mountain and just stopped. And then I know people that never stop to look at the view. Like, bro, you just accomplished this great thing. This is incredible. And they're like, yeah, no, that's great. And they just like blow it off. And I'm like, this took a long time to get there. You should relish it a little bit. I'm not trying to keep you from your destiny, but it's an interesting balance. And I think it's probably like a personality thing that it's like constantly climbing mountains or dying on the mountaintop once they reach it.
And I've learned too, a big thing I've learned just in the last few years is the value of rest.
That's good.
And as entrepreneurs and people that are driven, you just go. We see the Instagram post of the building that's got one light way up in the top corner. That's the entrepreneur. He's still there, still working.
Yep.
And but there's value in rest. Tired eyes rarely see a bright future.
Mm.
And so I think it's vital. I mean, even the creator of the universe took a break every now and then.
Yeah.
He on the seventh day he rested, he stopped. And so I think it's important that we rest. I forget who it was a famous business person, but he said this. He said, "I never make important decisions after 3 p.m." He said, I want to be rested. I want to be alert. And so when you're tired, you assess situations totally different. You assess people. Mountains seem higher, valleys seem deeper. You're more easily offended. And so I think it's vital that you take time to enjoy the journey along the way. I always said, I don't want to miss the abundant life trying to help everyone else find it.
Oh, that's good.
And so I think it's important, when you have those big accomplishments, stop, enjoy it, but then get back to work, get back in the game, have the courage, which is another trait of great achievers, have the courage to move on to what's next. I mean, courage is the ability to be a person of action. And so you got to keep moving. We want courage. Everybody admires it, but are you willing to take the step and go for it? Because people of greatness, they're not afraid of failure. They aren't afraid of what other people are going to think. I mean, most successful people have a few failures on their resume.
Sure.
They don't lose heart. They keep going and they keep moving forward. Actually, the most successful people probably have made the most mistakes.
Sure. Yeah.
So
that's so good.
I just encourage, just get back up and go at it. Try it again.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite life-changing quotes was Robert Kiyosaki. He talks about rich people aren't afraid to lose money. And that's always helped me, like poor people are, and so finding that mindset of like, I've lost money in business before. And I know other businessmen that like, they won't do business with another business person unless they've had some sort of loss because they know how to process that and to come back from it.
That's good.
So I was like, okay, I'll try to lose more so I can work with you. And we'll see. It's actually had an opposite effect, which is fine. But well, I don't want to give the whole book away. I want people to buy it. And this has been amazing. And I know you have things to do and we're moving along here. But this has been amazing. I'm just still reeling from all these quotes and these one-liners. These are amazing. But I just wanted to see kind of as we're rounding third here, I wish we could talk for 2 more hours. But what's kind of a closing thought? What's one thing that you've seen in your days? What's on your mind currently? What's one thing you would share with our listeners?
It's pretty simple, but it's that old quote by Winston Churchill: "Just don't quit, never give up."
Mm-hmm.
That bulldog tenacity to hold the course. Seasons are going to change. I've had seasons where I've done well. I mean, I remember a mentor of mine years ago telling me, in those good seasons, make sure you're putting money away, make sure you're preparing because seasons will change. I thought, oh no, once you got it going, it's not going to ever change. And seasons change. And so if you notice what more millionaires were made during the downturn in 08, 09 than any other time.
Wow.
People that were prepared, I was able to make some great investments because I was prepared. I had money put away. So when everything crashed, I could do some things other people couldn't. And you could take advantage of some great opportunities.
Sure.
So, be prepared for those changing seasons, but don't quit. It's going to turn around. The seasons are always going to change. It's not going to be winter forever.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, well, that sure is positive. I have to work at that all the time. I wasn't born positive. My blood type is even B negative. So I got to work at this every day.
Sure.
But I think that's the vital thing. Listen to podcasts just like this. Keep you encouraged every day. And I think that's the key for me. It's not a one-time thing. It's a daily renewing and changing and looking at things differently that keep you moving in the right direction.
So good. I actually had one more question I wanted to add on. I want to ask you really quick. So all the people you've worked with, all the traveling, all the ministering, the things you've done, you've preached and shared in front of hundreds of thousands of people. It's unbelievable. When you've talked to people, what's the one main self-limiting belief that people see, like that they say? Do you have like a certain one? Is it, they think too small, they're afraid of success, they're afraid of failure? Have you seen like a pattern ever with like the number one self-limiting belief people have?
I think a lot of it's how you see yourself.
Okay.
And I always say there's three ways to see yourself. You can see yourself the way other people see you, which may be good. It may not be good. I learned a long time ago what other people think about you is none of your business.
Wow.
Eleanor Roosevelt said it this way. She said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Yeah.
So the second way to see yourself is how you see yourself. That's, good self-confidence. And we all want to have a good self-confidence. But when you believe in something bigger than you, you can develop what my friend calls it Godfidence. Not just confidence, but Godfidence. And when you know not just who you are, but whose you are, I think that can make a huge difference in life as well. I get to share the stage with some great people, especially 50% of what we do is in the corporate arena, and I was sharing with Damon John from Shark Tank.
Yeah,
we were on a tour together, and we were just talking about principles, and he was talking about writing down your goals, and you dramatically increase the likelihood when you write them down. I'm like, that's so true. I said, that's in the Bible, because they all know that I'm a believer as well. And they said, really, that's in the Bible? I said, of course. I said, write the vision, make it plain so you can run with it. I said, all these principles are there from the very beginning of time. And so when you have a confidence of not just what you can accomplish, but what you can accomplish through his help, I've got a business partner that they don't have. And so I think that's a big key in developing the confidence that you need to really accomplish what it is that you have in your heart to accomplish.
So good. Oh my gosh, we could have talked for another 5 hours. This has been absolutely amazing. In closing, though, could you just share away one more time anything you'd like to promote, websites, anything like that?
Yeah, you can go to davemartin.org. davemartin.org. We have all kind of stuff on there. I think there's a free book you can download on there, or you could text the word coach. If you text coach to 25827, that's 25827. Just text the word coach, and you get our podcast, some other great stuff we'll send you that'll help you, or all of our social media at Dr. Dave Martin, at Dr. Dave Martin, and we'll connect there, and love to be a part of your world and be a part of helping you achieve all that's in your heart to do.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Dave, thank you so much. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for your time today.
Man, thank you so much for having me. Everyone keep listening, keep learning. I love what you're doing. And so keep it up, and thanks for letting me be a part.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Entreneato. We'd like to invite you to visit us on the web at Entreneato.com, and here's some of the neato things you can expect when you get there. As a token of our appreciation for tuning in, you can download a free audiobook, and that's thanks to our friends at Audible. You can purchase your very own super official, super comfy, and super trendy Neato t-shirt. Looking to take your life and business to the next level? You can sign up for a free coaching call. Have a question or comment for us? You can click contact and connect with us. All of this and more is waiting for you at Entreneato.com. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to our show and stay current on all the amazing interviews with our Neato guests. Now take what you've learned and apply it, and start living your Neato life now.